Okay, we got a brand new caster with the Redington Claymore 7-weight Skagit line floating tip. Okay, and the object, if you've never swung a fly, my friend here is he's a lifetime fly fisherman and a pretty good one. Both of his kids are guides, so he's been around it a lot, but he is brand new to Spey. So I'm gonna give the introductory Skagit casting for summer steelhead lesson. And so the object of what we're gonna do, basically we're gonna fish in close first. And then after we've fished in close, covered the water, we're gonna start casting. Let's just cast at about that angle, okay? And the cast will be, we're on river right, river's flowing left to right, zero wind, and so if the wind it's come hit me in the back of my head. If it's blowing hard, I want to keep the cast on the downwind side so the D-loop won't blow into me. So if we're fishing, probably what we're gonna do is we're gonna swing the line through there, and now we're fished out. Okay, we're done with the swing, and now we're gonna cast it out there. So since the wind's hitting me here, I'm going to do a double spey. And the double spey is, okay, we're fished out, keep the rod tip low, and we're just gonna bring the fly in close enough to cast it, like that. Okay, that's the first thing you do. And you never drag the rod, you lift it up. Lift it up and flop the line over. Just wanna get that fly somewhere in here. Once we do that, we basically bring it around and then just roll cast it right there, and then fish it out. You may throw a mend in it, but this is, see, we're fishing right now. This is what it's like. And see how the fly is kind of surfacing on the Deschutes for steelhead. That would not hurt you. It might even help you. So you're casting a wet fly, but if it turns into that, that's no big deal. So we're gonna fish it just like that. That's a good speed. If I was fishing water just like this, okay, let's say we're fished out, we've swung down there. I don't spend too much time on that. That's called the dangle. But in water this slow, you could conceivably cast more straight across like that, and you might have to throw a mend in it like that, or you might want to speed it up. You know, you can try different things.
Yeah.
Because the steelhead on the Deschutes are grabby, and so that's the idea. So what we want to do is fish that out. I would fish that. See, that would work. But usually the speed that you fish, so you could cast at that angle, flip a mend into it, and get a nice, you know, if there's a little nice bend in there and the fly is moving, that's about what you want.
That last cast was different than the one before.
Yeah. So if the wind is like blowing upstream, then we want the D-loop on our upstream shoulder.
Okay.
So because if the wind's blowing downstream, so if the wind's blowing upstream, I don't want my D-loop here, I want it here. So we'll cast like that, okay? That's 2 casts. The main thing, as opposed to get into like, okay, this is the XYZ cast, and you need to do 16 different things to accomplish it, that's way too much to think about. I would start with this cast. And the basic thing you do is you keep the slack out of the line, and then you lift it and bring the fly about that close.
Okay.
So when you cast, the fly's way downstream, you know, your D-loop's going to be all misaligned. So we want the fly to land somewhere, anywhere in here. It's fine.
Okay.
You just don't want to hook yourself. So when I learned, the thing that I figured out right off the bat was, if I could just get the fly close, and then I would just bring my rod around, and then I would roll cast. These lines are just built for roll casting. So if you just went out with everything I've told you now, if you could just get the fly close and then roll cast it, they cast by themselves. It's the easiest line to cast there is.
Is that how far out you fish, or how far?
Yeah, you can fish this far out. Now feel the wind.
Yeah.
Wind's hitting me here. So I would do this cast. Okay. Plop that fly handy. Fish that. The reason you can get away with more downstream. You can fish you could fish like that angle if you wanted to, but I would fish like at least towards that big tree. All right, guys, here's the Cliff Notes version. This guy, Riney, he's the most, for sure, talented and learningable old guy I've ever worked with. He's 66 years old, but he is a scratch golfer. He was a collegiate tennis player, basketball coach, super athletic guy, super savvy and smart. I've never met a guy who was so easy to teach. You could just flood his brain with information and he could do it. You had to do it in bite-sized bits because we can only do really one thing at a time. But usually when I'm working with guys in this age bracket, like my bracket and older, you can't get to them. If you can get them one idea or two ideas across to them, you're doing good. And sometimes you don't get any ideas across to them. But this guy was really smart and he could do whatever you told him to do. So he went from never even handling a Spey rod before, not having any idea what the running line was, the shooting head was, the length. He didn't even know the length of his rod. A friend got it to him. But he didn't know how to hold it or anything. But I had him hold it hip width apart. I had him hold it in a comfortable, relaxed manner. And I taught him to not drag the fly, but to lift the rod up by pushing his bottom hand down and his top hand up and smoothly bringing that fly into the position where we wanted the anchor to be. And then, so he picked up on that right away. Once he did one or two of those, I never had to tell him again. He held the line right each time. He learned the length of overhang to have each time, and he paid attention to that. He didn't know what a D-loop was, so I showed him that, and he grasped the concept. His first cast or two, he blew his anchor. I reminded him that the fly and some line remains in the water to anchor the cast, and from then on, he didn't blow anchors. I mentioned proper hand position in the box, and he complied. I mentioned to go outwards towards the far bank and trace the martini glass rim with his rod tip. He nailed it. That was the suggestion that gave him a breakthrough. I mentioned remember to pull with the bottom hand and at least stop the rod high enough to make a forward loop. This was his weakest area, but he still maintained awareness and made improvements. Of course, I'd given him a demonstration of all of this, but then when he started casting, he did need reminders because it's a boatload of stuff to remember. He rarely backslid with each plateau he reached, and at the end of the lesson, he understood the idea of a double Spey off each shoulder. I suggested the drill that we'll show you at the end of the video as his assignment for the week. He now has this video as a backup so he can continue to practice, which is where the real improvements come, or he could go fishing. But he is a very talented, athletic, and gifted learner. He just was really smart. May have had one or two young guys. I had one young guy that was as good as him, and he was really smart. But this guy is really talented in that, some guys you can only show one or two things. He was able to grasp a lot of stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to, this turned out different. I thought I was going to give a beginner lesson, but then we got off in the weeds because he didn't even know, he wasn't familiar with swinging a Spey line for steelhead. So we had to talk about all that and distances and all that stuff. And it was just great to have somebody that was so brilliant to work with. Okay, here's the video. Remember to go out and around. Beautiful. Now, backhand it. There you go. And remember, I'm gonna do one more set and I'm gonna talk through it. I'm gonna give you an assignment. Okay, so you're gonna place the anchor within a rod's length, go out and around, stop that rod, good. Now you're gonna backhand it, fly within a rod's length, out, around, you're gonna pull with the bottom, stop with the top, just like that. That was perfect. Do it again. Great lift, out around, pull with that bottom hand on the forward stroke. Now backhand, okay, out, around, pull with the bottom hand, stop the rod high, and that's what you're gonna work on. Okay, on the lift, you're gonna up with the top, down with the bottom, not drag it across the water, set the fly within a rod's length, out, around, over the top, there's the cast. Now you're gonna backhand it by lift, high, set the anchor out and around, pull with the bottom hand, stop the rod with the top hand. You can stop the rod with the top or bottom hand, but remember to stop the rod, period. Out, around, beautiful. Now backhand. Good thinking, good thinking. It's okay. Okay, one more time with the drill. Set the fly, out, around, nice hand position, forward cast, pull with the bottom hand always. Set the anchor, out and around, you're gonna pull with the bottom hand and stop the rod. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Really, you can fish. It all depends on the lie and where the fish are. Mm-hmm. If you had structure and a good run and it ran all the way across the river, you could technically fish as far as you could cast. Mm-hmm. But with this, I only want to do so much stripping. I don't want to have 20 strips of line out. Yeah. 8 or 10 is fine for maximum, or 12. But so, a lot of times the fish will just be right here. You want to stand on the bank and fish the bank, fish out here. Anywhere over a foot or 2 of water they're in there, so you want to cover the close stuff. And then when you want to fish a grid, so you would here's what I do if I was fishing. I fish the close in stuff. Now I'd fish that. Say I have 12 strips of line out, casting really far. I'd step down a step or 2. Some guys say step down the length of a fish. But you can go the length of the fish, or you can do 2 steps or 1.5 or 5 steps, or you can stand in one place and do 2 casts and then one step. However you fit your personality.
Yeah.
I usually just smoke through them. I'm not real patient.
Yeah.
I like to move. I would rather
Cover more river.
cover the river, look for the crazy one that's gonna by, because that's just too. I don't. If I'm in a sweet spot of a run and I really think there's a fish there, I might do 2 casts and then a step, and go really slow and be really fussy about my drift and my swing and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, so cast at that angle, swing through, step down, cast at that angle, so you're covering as much water as you can.
Okay.
So now feel the wind.
Yeah.
Wind's hitting me here. So I would do this cast. Okay. Pop that fly handy. Fish that. The reason you can get away with more downstream. You can fish like that angle if you wanted to, but I would fish like at least towards that big tree. It seems like most of my grabs come in
That section. So that last one, you did a little more of a reach. Is that just so you didn't have to mend?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you can, like when if I'm really smoking through a run, I might cast like this and then mend like that.
Just to shorten it up?
Yeah, just like another thing you can do. See, for the shoes, it's easy. You just get your fly out. But if you were, if the water was colder and it was later in the year, say November, they're moving, they've slowed down. The water's colder, everything's colder. You could you could fish it like this. There's that, do a big pull back pin, straighten everything out, and then step down and let it sink.
Uh-huh.
And then drift it, let it sink, and then get it to slow down through the sweet spot. So, the biggest thing is it's just swinging flies. It's not rocket science. We're looking for the fish that want to bite it. We're not. There's no to me, there's no super secret sauce. There's no special fly. It's just put on something that is a good steelhead fly. Put on a green butt skunk or a woolly bugger, whatever you want, or something sexier, and then cover the water. And a lot of times, you'll get a grab when people always say, oh, you get in the zone, you feel like, you're doing all this, supposedly you're just locked in, which I don't know how you stay locked in for
hours.
Like my kid, he caught a really nice one up there at Warm Springs last year or 2 ago, and he was fished out. And I said, did you fish down at the bottom of the run? He goes, no, I couldn't. I said, well, somebody should fish that out. So we went back down. He's talking to his friend on the phone. He wanted to get it over with, so he's taking 5 steps between, and all of a sudden, kerwham, he wasn't in no zone. He just happened to have a fly in the right place.
So are they hitting it just out of annoyance, or are they actually feeding? They're not really feeding, are they?
I don't know. I think they hit it because they can't help themselves.
Instinct.
Yeah, but it never hurts to. They always talk about later in the year they get trouty. So, but I don't know. I really don't overthink that part.
Yeah.
If your kids have fished steelhead, I'd ask them, because I just get on a fly that I enjoy casting, casts easy, looks decent to me, and just go for it. So it's really not a thing where you overthink
No
it.
different, like when you get a hit, you just, if you've got line, just trying to get it on the reel as best you can.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, they hit it hard and go usually, but the
Yeah.
ones I've got,
I would just. I usually just strip them in as far as I can, and then if they give me a chance, I'll reel in my running line, or I'll
Gotcha.
reel. I kind of let them decide. I just do survive. You know, I don't have really a plan except for don't lose it. Make sure
get
that
tension.
if you have a drag, that you have your drag set where you want it, and if you don't have a drag, this one has a drag, but I fish ones that don't have a drag. But I make sure I have a system for palming it and slowing them down a little.
Uh-huh.
Just a couple of those, I don't usually see that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just fishing. There's no magic to it. The magic is just getting it out there and, you know, covering the water at the pace that you think is best. And usually for me, like, you know, like what I said. So let's